Greetings, YouTube. This past weekend, my wife and I watched Logan's Run. The original. Not the TV series, but the original film from 1976. And I hadn't seen this movie in probably 20 years. I didn't even remember parts of it. I just knew the general story. I was surprised how well some of the things held up, and some of the things didn't. The acting was mediocre for, basically was a fairly light science fiction film. It had some serious elements to it, but it didn't take a lot of things seriously, and there wasn't a lot of depth to either the characters or the storyline. Now, my biggest problem with it is the technology in the film. Not the special effects. The special effects actually were pretty decent for 1976. They even had some holograms that were shown in it, and that was cutting edge in 1976. Now, it was the technology that was supposed to be running the world in Logan's Run. For those who aren't familiar with it, basically Logan's Run is this huge arcology, a domed city, where people live, and they have this idyllic life. They are essentially Eloi. They are born and raised in this perfect existence, and when they turn 30, they are renewed. And renew is their souls are supposed to be recycled into a new person. In actuality, of course, they're just being killed to make room for the next generation. And the entire place is run by a computer system, a really complex, highly advanced computer system. I think it's supposed to be 2270 or something like that in the film. And the main character is a Sandman. The Sandman's job is to retire people who don't get renewed. People who run. They're called runners. Sandmen go after the runners, and they either put them into a position where they die, or they just flat out shoot them. And they do this for entertainment as well as their job. They like the hunt. They enjoy this kind of thing. And they don't even think of themselves as killing people, because they're going to be renewed, right? Yeah, it's a little hinky in my book. But the technology that's supposed to run this place is supposed to be very advanced. They have little scooter-type Segway devices that fly. They actually have devices there's some kind of technology that allows people to levitate. And they apparently have teleportation with inside the city, because he literally dials up a number on this little pad, and someone appears in his apartment for him to sleep with. Just people put themselves into this, they call it the circuit. If you're in the mood, someone picks you at random, you have sex. Absolute idyllic lifestyle. No connections, no families. The children are raised communally, mostly by the computers, and it's just one big party until they kill you. But the technology in this place would have to be incredibly advanced, and you can't see any of it. No one's maintaining anything. There are no robots. There are no maintenance men. And when the hero finally decides to run for real with his female accomplice, they go through all this underbelly of the city. And there's no one down there. Now, I work in a factory, and I work on machines, big industrial machines, every day. And if a machine runs 24/7, which is the best way to run a machine like that, you probably have a 1% chance a day, a cumulative chance, that the machine's going to fail. Eventually, it's going to break. If you leave a machine idle, there's between a 1 and 5% chance a day that when you go to turn it on, it's not going to turn on. And I'd say after a year, you're going to have to rebuild that machine before you're ever going to get it to run again. Not just go in and tinker with it, strip it apart, clean everything, replace as many things as you're going to have to, hoses, wiring, seals, and then you pray the machine's going to start. There's nothing like that in this film, and that bothered me. At the end of the film, of course, they liberate the city. They go out into the outside world. They discover that the world is inhabitable now. The nuclear war that had caused them all to go into this city has healed, and they find an old man out there who may possibly be the last human being on the North American continent. It's kind of alluded to, but there is no proof. And they go into the city, and the main character talks to the computer, confuses the computer, and the computer blows up. Because apparently in the future, thermite is part of every circuit board. Because when the computer actually gets confused, the room the computer's in blows up, and then the building the computer's in blows up, and then the entire city starts to fall apart. Because the main character confused the computer. It's dumb. Not to mention you have tens of thousands of people being pushed out into the wilderness who have no skills. They're all going to die. They're going to turn into a ravaging bands of cannibals to survive. This is not going to end well for these people. There's no training. There's no support structure. They've never been hungry. They've never been wet in the rain. They've never been cold. They've never been thirsty. These people are all going to die. So while I enjoyed it, it was a lot of great memories of seeing it the first time, and it's a great example of 70s era science fiction films. You're going to have to take this one with a big block of salt.